What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple for Men podcast with me, Bryce Bauer. Today, I'm going to be talking about the number one mistake that men make when there's conflict between them and their partner. And when I say number one, I mean number one. Every single time I work with a guy, I look for ways in which they're doing this because to men, it makes a lot of sense why they do it. And that's why they keep doing it, but it never works. And even though I've been doing this for a long time, I still get tripped up by this mistake. And you don't have to just take my word for it. One thing I'm going to ask you to do is to think about when you do this and if it has ever worked. And if you do this and it never works, you should probably stop and learn a different way. So I will teach you why it doesn't work, and I will give you a new skill to use when you and your partner are in a disagreement. So with all that being said, the number one mistake that men make when there is conflict with them and their partners is over explaining. And essentially, what this is an attempt to use logic to override feelings. I'll give you a really basic example. Let's say that you and your partner are having a conversation and your wife brings up something about her mom. And maybe you've both struggled with her mother's personality. You've had many conversations over the years about how her mom can be controlling and overbearing and even rude. And so you think that both of you are on the same page. And at some point, you're trying to validate. So you say something like, yeah, your mom's crazy. And you feel the energy shift. And your wife comes back with something like, no, she's not. She can just be a little much sometimes. And then you, in an effort to clear up this misunderstanding, you say something like, well, I don't mean like crazy, crazy. She just acts crazy sometimes. Like she did this one thing. Remember that? Remember how you were so upset about that? And I was too. And then your wife responds with something like, yeah, I know my mom. She can be like that, but she's actually a really nice person. And then things begin to escalate and you keep trying to explain yourself and your wife is getting more and more activated. I know most of you have been in situations like this. It starts as a little thing and then it escalates into this giant mountain and you have no idea how it got so bad so quick. And if you don't learn how to do this better, there's going to be more disconnection, more stress, and resentment is going to build. Couples even get divorced because they have an inability to deal with these conversations. I'm sure you don't want to be labeled a bad communicator or be that couple that bickers all the time. And at worst, this is when I think guys get called gaslighters and narcissists. Even though you might not actually be a narcissist, when you continue to make the mistake of over explaining yourself, it makes you seem like you're always trying to be right. It makes it seem like there is no space for your partner's reality. There's no space for her feelings. You have this whole thing reversed. You've put the logic over the feeling when it needs to be the opposite. When have you ever been able to convince your partner to not feel the way that they do? This is the test I want to pose to you. Has your partner ever misunderstood you? And then when you explained what you really meant, they were like, oh, no big deal. All those feelings that I had when I thought you said what you said just went away and we're good. That doesn't happen. No matter what went on in your partner's experience, that's the thing that needs to be tended to first. Whether you like to admit it or not, we are emotional beings. We are not the most rational species. When our nervous system gets activated, when we feel like there's a threat there, we don't instantly relax when new information comes in. The more that we try to compress and push away emotion, the more the pressure builds. Because essentially what you're saying when you're over explaining is you shouldn't feel the way that you feel. The nervous system does not like that. And if you get louder and sharper and more frustrated, you become more and more of a threat. And this is what men do when they try to over explain themselves. They get agitated and they try to push the information onto their partner. You shouldn't feel the way that you felt because that's not what I meant. And you should listen to what I'm saying and then you'll feel differently. That never works. And I could get into how men really have to grow their capacity to be with bigger feelings. That deserves a whole nother video, but I can at least speak to a few different moves that you can make in these situations. Because I know you want to be a good communicator. You want to be a safe space for your partner, an emotionally available husband. You want to be that inspiring couple that people want to be around. Who doesn't want that? You want to be able to manage conflict to feel good with each other, to have more intimacy and connection. I'm sure you guys both have goals that you want to accomplish together, and you want to feel supported and appreciated in the process. So, what does it look like to put the emotion before the logic? I'm not saying that logic isn't important, because it really is. And most men I know only know how to do the logic. So it might be a bit of a stretch. It might feel kind of awkward and weird to practice tending to the emotion. And a lot of men's fears are that I'll just have to admit that I'm wrong all the time, or submit, give ground, and then I'll feel resentful later. But that's not what I'm talking about. The more that you can do this for your partner, the more that they'll want to do this for you. That's how it works. This reciprocal emotional support. But if you haven't known how to give it, it's really unfair to expect it coming back to you. This is the thing that a lot of men miss. At their core, they really want to feel emotionally understood, but they can't do that for their partners. So it becomes a pattern of misunderstanding and resentment. It just doesn't feel good anymore. Okay, so now you probably really want to know what you can do differently. The first thing you have to do is slow the fuck down. Speed is one of the things that activates the nervous system, and that's what's causing the anxiety. You have to be able to slow down, take a breath, get into your body, meaning come into the present moment before you can start to use your words. And if this isn't already muscle memory for you, you'll have to be really intentional about it. And it helps when we can give our partner information as to what's going on inside of us, how we're feeling, what we're sensing, and what our intentions are. So a perfect example would be, hold on, I just noticed a rush of energy in my body. I'm not totally sure what's going on. I can tell that I want to defend what I said and explain to you what I meant, but I want to find a better way to deal with this. So just give me a second. Okay, so you can see how we're creating the space, we're slowing it down. And no matter how your partner responds, this is a better move. If you really said what I just said in the way that I said it, there's a high chance that your partner's going to be receptive to that. Now, the next move is to turn attention to her. And this can be a hard one for guys, because we want to think about how we're feeling and what we meant. But if both people are trying to be heard at the same time, no one's getting heard. So this is a way for you to become the relational leader. You get to model how you want to be listened to by doing it yourself. The next thing that I would have you do is ask your partner more about what's going on for them. So it could sound something like, I noticed when I said your mom was crazy, something happened for you. So I am wondering how you're feeling. And from here, just listen. She might need to blow off a little steam. Your job is just to listen and be curious. And it helps if you can reflect back what you're hearing and ask questions. So if your partner says something like, yeah, I just don't want to call my mom crazy. I really think she is a good person. She just doesn't know how to cope with things and deal with us sometimes. And I think she gets stressed. Your move is to say, oh, that makes sense that you don't want us to call her crazy because you think she's a really good person and she's just doing her best. And if your partner's like, yeah, then you're getting somewhere. And this can become a collaborative effort, because it might be true that your partner is tired of herself complaining about her mom. And when she sees it reflected by you, you're doing it too. She doesn't like it. It's kind of that whole idea that, like, I can talk shit about my family, but you can't. We have this weird protective thing we do. Even if we're doing the same thing, we don't like when other people do it. Or she might just be having kind of a moment and a rough day. And it has nothing to do with her mom. She's just kind of aggravated, irritated. She's stressed out, and she just needs some care and attention. That's really what she's asking for. But either way, you will be able to move this process along in a much more connected, fulfilling, skillful way. And if in the background you're going, oh, this won't work, my wife will probably just flip out if I ask her how she's feeling, what I'd say to that is, it could be true, right? Like, I don't know if one move is going to completely change the course of the way that you guys communicate, but I'm thinking about the long game. If you continually do this differently, you will get a different result. And over-explaining never works, and it will never get you the result that you want. What I'm trying to teach you how to do is to love skillfully. I already know that you care about your partner and that she cares about you, but you're both working with these very sensitive nervous systems. And so you have to understand how that works. So to sum this all up, the number one mistake that men make during conflict is over explaining. And the new move to make is to slow down, notice what's happening in you, regulate yourself, and then to work to co-regulate your partner through curiosity and compassion and validation. And again, don't take my word for it. Go do this. Run the experiment. Get the results. You can use your logic on this one. What works better? Okay, well, this was a fun one to talk about today. If you're interested in joining a men's group or being a part of one of our group programs, or if you want individual or couples counseling, you can visit my website at www.brycebauer.com. Remember to like, subscribe, share, comment. If you like what I have to say, that is all I have for today. I'll see you next week. Peace.